Welcome back. Today's review is on the Hoka One One Carbon X. So this is one of Hoka's flagship shoes. This shoe is a carbon fiber plated shoe, and it is one of their elite running shoes. So to get started, this shoe has a 5mm drop and has a lot of new materials that's been built into it. So the shoe's been out for a while. They just actually are pre-ordering for the Hoka One One Carbon X2s. So there's going to be some different changes, so I look to hopefully get a hold of those shoes in the future to review and do a comparison. So to get started, this shoe has about a 5mm drop, like I said. It has a lot of really good technology that's been built into it. Hoka's done some really awesome stuff with this shoe. So some of the stuff that I noticed when I was running in these shoes, now that I have about 20 total miles in them, is that their upper material really wasn't too flexible when running, so it was kind of hard for me to run and have my foot kind of flex in the forefoot area. So if you're somebody who really likes that lockdown on the shoe, you're probably really going to like these shoes for that respect. They are very breathable. There's a lot of vents across the top. There are some vents on the side. I mean, it's a fairly breathable shoe. I never had any issues with overheating in them. The shoes also had some really kind of standard laces, but the problem that I really noticed with these shoes was the fact that the upper wasn't super flexible, and then the laces themselves kind of locked it down even more. So the laces, they don't have a stretch to them. So I know other brands and other shoes that I've ran in have a more flexible lace. So for me personally, it was just too much of a lockdown. The fact that the upper didn't really flex and then the laces didn't flex caused my foot to feel really compressed at times. So that was kind of one of my big difficulties when running in these shoes. But to get past some of the cons that I had in these shoes, some of the pros that I noticed in these shoes was the fact that these shoes are incredibly light. So these are a size 14 that I wear, and these shoes typically ran true to size for me. I could have maybe wiggled down a half size and then a wide if that was possible. So a half size wide would have been better for me. Typically I have a wider foot. So I noticed that was kind of an issue for me as well with, like I said, with the lockdown and the design. The way these shoes are built, it has kind of an interesting design. So they really kind of arc up here in my opinion. So that caused some issues for me with the rubbing. So on the inner forefoot here, I kind of noticed that I would start to get some, I started to have issues with blistering because of the way that the shoe rode up on my inner foot here. So that caused some of the issues. But outside of that, these shoes were fantastic. Like I said, they're really light. In a way, they're kind of, in my opinion, kind of double stacked. So as you can kind of see here, they have the white foam on top, which is like a softer foam, obviously. And then beneath it, there's a break in the mid seam of the shoe before it goes into the bottom sole that you're actually running on. And that's where they place that carbon fiber plate. So you can kind of tell they did a little bit of the cutouts on the sole here. So you can kind of actually see on the inside, and there is the carbon fiber plate in there. So I ran on these shoes for about 20 miles, mainly in the gym, on the treadmill, doing light running outside. So it doesn't have a whole lot of wear on it, but from what I could tell is that these shoes are going to have some really good long-term durability. That sole that you're running on the bottom is actually, it seems to be very durable. The cushion that I noticed that you would typically get from Hoka seems to be carried on in these shoes. The only downside that I would say is that it's obviously not going to be their softest ride, because these shoes are meant for elite racing, that you're going to want to get some of that rebound. You're going to want to feel something, so you can't have them as cushioned as some of the other shoes in their lineup. But as far as an elite racing shoe that's carbon fiber plated, they did phenomenal. I really enjoyed that. I really wanted to love these shoes. Unfortunately, there's just so many of the other things that was kind of working against it, in my opinion, just because I have a wider foot. I don't like the fact that this isn't flexible across the top material and these laces aren't flexible. So unfortunately for me, I'm actually returning these shoes back to Hoka. I might use this as a down payment towards the Carbon X2s. So I'm still trying to do some research on that shoe before I actually get another pair of Carbon X's. But other than that, these shoes did come in a couple colorways. This was actually my favorite. It's a fairly neutral color. They had some other good choices in there as well. Some other things about this shoe, like I said, for long-term durability, I think they built this shoe fantastic. If I didn't have such a wide foot, I think that I would have absolutely fallen in love with these, but unfortunately for me, it did run a little bit wider. I mean, because the shoe has a nice little arc here, so it's really good. So when you plant, you can really feel yourself come off in it. But for me, it gave a little too much room in the toe box, maybe a half a size, I'd say. And if these were wide, they would have been fantastic because I wouldn't have had that riding up issue that I had on either side of the feet. But great technology built into these shoes. Like I said, the way that they merge the two foams, they're actually using what they call in this one their ProFly X, which is supposed to give you more cushion in the heel and a stiffer feel in the forefoot. So when you push off, you feel more of that rebound. For me, as far as these were concerned, comparing these to some of my other carbon fiber plated shoes, I really can't do that because I feel like when I compare these to my Nike Alpha Fly and Vaporfly, you just really can't. Those are kind of the gold standard of them. Do these do a good job? These absolutely do a fantastic job. For me, what I was hoping to get out of these shoes was that these were going to be my long distance tempo running shoes, something that I could go a long distance in, because like I said, the cushion and the bottom sole that's on these shoes is what you can do to go long distances. With those shoes, I feel like their foam is going to get tore up way too soon, so these would be perfect for a long distance tempo trainer. Or if you're somebody who's just looking to do fairly quick tempo days too, I think you can get something out of that as well. But all in all, Hoka put together a fantastic product with this shoe. And I think for the majority of people who try it out, they're going to be blown away by what they get out of this shoe. And not to mention, right now, the fact that they have it on sale because the Carbon X2s are coming in. They've actually dropped the price down to $145 on these shoes. So great entry point if you've never had a carbon fiber plated shoe, you want to try something out. Hoka's obviously known for their cushion and for the softness and typically the width of the shoes. So for most people, I think you're really going to enjoy these shoes. Unfortunately for me, there was too many things, and for that price, it wasn't right. So I need to send these back. I'm really hoping that the Carbon X2s make some of these changes. The other thing too is that the heel on the inside, it's the one they have it sewn down here, so it's kind of open, so you can kind of flex it around. I didn't have any issues with the tongue, which was great. And unfortunately, they didn't have anything in the heel area to kind of support it. I didn't notice any slippage, but I know when you're walking around, if you walk around in these shoes, it does slip a little, but when you're running, I didn't seem to notice any issues with that. So that being said, if you want, go ahead and try these shoes out. Let me know your thoughts, comments, and questions below. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and subscribe and come back for more. Thanks.